very early in my life, very early.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, as long as I remember,
Mm-hmm.
maybe around 7 or 8. Um, but then the actual turn took place when I was about to leave my home in 1976.
Mm-hmm.
Just in the month of May or June, I don't recollect now. One fine morning, after being so impressed by reading, Ramakrishna Paramahansa's biography, and
Mm-hmm.
also moved that he could achieve so much
Mm-hmm.
with his innocence and love for his goddess Kali.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to pursue that uh, path. So I decided one fine morning, let's go now. This world, I think it is fruitless if I want to achieve that. So I took off, and my village nearby, we have a river, Narmada River, and there are plenty of temples there. So I thought, I might be able to find someone who can guide me. So one temple was there, and there was a group of sannyasis. They are all Agori Babas. Narmada River is full of a lot of Shiva temples are there, and
Mm-hmm.
people who do yatra on those. They call it parikrama. And there were about, I would say, 9 or 10 Agori Babas, and one leader was there, the elder. So I met him. By the afternoon, he saw my intentions. He said, "Bete, यहाँ मत रहो, तुम घर चले जाओ.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be with us. You please go, return back to your home. You can achieve whatever you are aspiring for in your very house itself." I made a mistake. Now I am 70 plus. I cannot go back to my home. Nobody will recognize me. And even now, I have not have even a glimpse of God, let alone peace. And he gave me a really good advice. And by the evening time, I was back home. Within a month, a friend of mine, when he was, he used to watch me meditate now and then.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Kamlesh, why are you wasting your time with all this? Who is teaching you this meditation?" I said, "I'll just following Swami Vivekananda's footsteps.
Mm-hmm.
Though I cannot contact him, he's no more in this world. But I read his literature and do whatever little I can from his books." So it's okay, you need a guru or some guide in order to pursue your spiritual path. So he said in a very slang words, "Let's go to one person. She will put you in trance right away." I said, "Who is this person? She?" He said, "These are the trainers of this particular organizations who have the ability to transmit the yogic essence, yogic power. They call transmission. In Sanskrit, it's known as pranahuti."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Why not? Nothing wrong. I mean, nothing wrong trying it.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing it on my own. Maybe somebody can guide me better."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I ended up going to see that person in Ahmedabad only. See,
Mm-hmm.
very pious grihastha lady. It must be in her late 50s. And she said, she first asked me, "Why do you want to meditate?" I said, "I want to become like those great giants like Swami Vivekananda. I like to take off one day,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and serve our country at the same time, learn from our people."
Mm-hmm.
So the ideal is good. Then she quoted me one of her beautiful, I would say very smilingly, she said in Hindi, "क्या ईश्वर जंगल में ही रहता है क्या?
Mm-hmm.
वो तो सब जगह है."
Mm-hmm.
It touched my heart.
Mm-hmm.
That God is not a jungle dweller. If He's everywhere, you can find Him wherever you are.
Right.
So that appealed my logic.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Since you are so interested, come sit with me. We'll meditate together."
Mm-hmm.
So I sat. The very first meditation session I had with this person
Mm-hmm.
was extraordinary. Something that made me feel, yes, we have arrived home.
Mm.
Something that made me say, "Oh, you have reached your master. You have reached your guide."
Mm-hmm.
After the meditation session was over, she tapped my knee and said, "Bas kijiye, bas kijiye." She had to take me out, bring me back to my awareness.
Wow.
I was absolutely in trance in the very first session.
Wow.
And she herself started crying. कि आज तो हमारा भाग्य खुल गया. My luck has suddenly opened up having you here. So this turning of table appealed me so much. Oh, there's so much to achieve, and this experience is so profound, and this lady is so humble. Then she revealed about herself, who she was. She is just an ordinary grihastha lady, wife of an orthodox Marwadi family. She said she learned all these things from her guru from Shahjahanpur, all this technique of transmission and all that. He is the pioneer of all these things. And he had learned it from his guru. You know how the traditions of gurus are in India.
Right.
They don't charge anything. It just flows free.
Right.
And I was happy with that. And since then I've been meditating. Since 1976, August, I came across her. And then within a year, I had the opportunity of being face to face with the person who established this particular organization called Sri Ramchandra Mission. The path is known as Sahaj marg. Now taking its movement further under Sahaj marg spirituality movement, under the banner of heartfulness meditation.
So, in your family, I mean, when you grew up, right, you had brothers, sisters?
Yes, one brother and 3 sisters.
Okay, so like you were 5.
Correct.
And out of 5, you are the only one who had this hunger of meditation or something like that. Or I mean, you must have got some, I mean, how did you think about it? That's what I'm saying.
I think our childhood samskars were of all my, my family members, they're somehow oriented into this sort of things. As long as I remember from very early age, I mean, everybody would sit together and listen to Ramayana. Village life those days, under a lantern, you turn on the lantern by 8 o'clock and you start reading Ramayana, Mahabharata, and whole street would assemble around your house, and this was a daily saga in our family. So the samskars, as they say, they were poured in from very early age. No doubt, after 76 till 78 or so, nobody started this particular meditation, because ours is orthodox family where so much of puja goes on morning, evening. And spiritual thing, I think it's not a cup of tea of an ordinary religious person.
Right.
See, religion is all about dogmas and beliefs. Nothing wrong with it. Absolutely fine. But when it comes to spirituality, you have to depend on your own inner radar. See? When we say, ask a question like, do you believe in God? Most religious people say yes. See? Atheists would end up saying, no, I don't even believe in godly existence. Let's not talk about it. They become very angry, you see. And I do respect their opinion on both sides. But both sides do not impress me either. When you say God doesn't exist, fine. I can only sympathize and say, okay, you don't believe it because you have not experienced.
Right.
I can only sympathize with you. With people who believe in God, I think I have more sympathy for them, because this belief is, I think it needs some sort of a backing. You see, when you ask a child, I believe in God, why do you believe in God? The immediate answer would be, my father said so, or my mother said so. If you ask teenagers or people in 30s and 40s, our shastras talk about it, our tradition speaks about it. And if you ask a grand lady or a grand person, man or woman, grandfather or grandmother, it's, oh, why are you asking such a stupid question? They'll get angry for asking a question if you believe in God. See? But none of them would come up with an answer that I believe in God because of my personal experience. Rare people. So knowledge is good, which is all about religion. But when we enter the field of spirituality, where experiences are made possible, then you can say, yes, behind this knowledge, experience is backing it now. See, almost like this currency we talked about earlier. Currencies need some sort of a backing. You see, national wealth in the form of minerals or gold or petroleum or strong government stability is there. Country can have so many things, but the political thing is at unrest. The currency will deflate. It will devaluate. Likewise, the knowledge which is there, God is there, fine. But if the backing of the experience is lacking, this knowledge becomes very weak.
So, I mean, I meet a lot of young people, and I talk to a lot of young people, and they're always like, they believe in what is scientifically proven, or, like I cannot touch or I cannot feel it. So why do I believe something?
Yes.
So what is your answer to them? Because, I mean, I don't have an answer, to be honest with you.
Well, I sympathize with them also, because, and I like that spirit. Unless and until I can experience, how can I believe it?
Right.
I like that logic. I like to build a bridge between science and spirituality. I wish that every young mind or heart would experiment with this and come to one's own conclusion once and for all that it is or it is not. You see, in science, we start with the hypothesis that this plus this or this combining with this will produce either this or that.
Right.
And at the end of it, if you prove it is there or it is not that. Similarly, let's begin with the hypothesis that God is there or God is not there. We start with this experiment. At the end of it, we prove once and for all conclusively that it is there or not there. We like to offer that to all young minds and hearts. Not by convincing them logically, but actually going through this process, through the thorough experiment. Young minds, they are the scientists. Your heart is your laboratory. When you do the experiment, run the experiment within your heart, you are the judge of that experiment. You are the result of that experiment. See? The beautiful thing about all these things is, even when they are convinced, you have to convince the other. Because no amount of conviction an individual has is transferable.
Right.
You know the reason? Most things can be transferred, most knowledge can be transferred, except this particular science.
Right.
One can only inspire. The person who would like to actualize this knowledge through experience has to have a scientific approach. Otherwise, it becomes a blind faith, which religion demands.
Right.
Science has to have reproducible results again and again. It's not enough that this experiment produced such and such a result in one person. We like to see that it produces similar results in multiple individuals. You see, I have this approach. Okay, you know how in pharmaceutical sciences they invent medications. Each molecule is tried and tested against the placebo. Let's see, molecule A is there. If you want to study its efficacy as an analgesic or a headache medicine, the results are compared with a placebo. If the results of this new molecule A is comparable only to the extent of 50% results of placebo, that means the A molecule is not active. I mean, it is not as good as placebo.
Right.
Okay. But if this A molecule is going to relieve the headaches to the 90% of people instead of just 50% as found with placebo therapy, then you would believe that yes, A is good in curing headaches. At the same time, we also study the side effects are not there. This drug can be effective, but the side effects are there, then it's useless. We have to drop that molecule. Likewise, here with this spiritual aspect of our meditation, now one can meditate with whatever method, pleasant to one's own fancy ideas, whatever it is, do it that way, fine. Then we give you a method. You meditate with this particular method, meditating on the presence that already exists in your heart. This is an hypothesis of presence of divinity in your heart. Fine. The third experiment we do, we run, is this meditation on the presence of divine entity or the light within the heart, but now with transmission, yogic transmission. Compare 3 results. See it for yourself. What results this particular meditation can bring about in your heart. I don't like to discuss the results of it, otherwise I will taint the results of it, and I will be somehow spoiling the I would say the results. I don't want to give stimulus to your mind and say, okay, the results will be such and such. You be the judge. You find the results, you see.
So one has to